Good morning, everybody. I need to make a video today about the current situation because there's a lot of stuff that's being put on the table that has been put on the table these last few months, and it's just there's so much to go through, and it's impossible for any one person to keep up with everything. Um, and with all the new revelations on top of this crazy giant war and like these contradictive new policies coming out with about certain things like the Monsanto Bayer stuff, allowing the glyphosate spray to be used, including on national forests, by the way. So even if you're trying to go hiking in nature, you can still get poisoned by that shit. All right? They just put in a new law about that. And, Monsanto Bayer, they come from the era of eugenics in the United States, and there's a lot of connections to the Nazi Party. While the Nazi Party was forming, after it had formed, and then after the war through Project Paperclip, bringing lots of Nazi scientists over to run a lot of stuff, like NASA, for example. Not just huge corporations, but places like NASA that have a lot of control over our technology. It's the same people that were working with Marvel Jack Parsons at the Jet Propulsion Laboratory. It's that same web, that same group of people. And I know people are sick of hearing it, but again, look at the Epstein files. They connect everything. These guys they're talking about ancient history. There's emails about their obsession and their search for several years for Atlantis and Ghislaine Maxwell's company to go do that kind of ocean exploration to try to find that stuff. All their transhumanist agenda. Epstein proudly pumped, dozens, if not hundreds of babies into unwilling participants at the Zorro Ranch. In weird, messed up ways. Girls waking up on tables, not knowing where they are, but they're under surgery. They wake up under surgery in some underground lab surrounded by doctors with lab coats. These guys are doing all this stuff with cloning. They're the same web pushing the transhumanism stuff. It's the same people that did the vaccine genocide, right? There's emails with Epstein and Gates talking about how they're going to use this to minimize the world's population and at the same time become extremely rich and even more rich and more powerful by doing it, getting more control over humanity, right? Why do people just accept these kind of monsters to have power? Like guys from Google, OpenAI, Peter Thiel, and Palantir, these guys are pushing to control every aspect of your life. They want to watch every minute of your existence and form you as a human being, how you should think, how you should act, what you should do for your life. They need you as a cog in their machine so they can keep sitting back and stealing all of our shit while not really doing anything to produce anything outside of a system of control and illegal spying and power. Like that's their whole world is greed and deception. It's their whole world. These people should not be in power. Anybody in the Epstein list should not have a position in politics. We should not have all these former presidents connected to all of this. And every administration since the 90s has been covering this shit up. Every single one. They've been covering up the same thing. It's finally coming out. And then you have the connections to the UAPs too, like the same group, like Dick Cheney, for example, was read in to these programs. All the Harvard and Ivy League scientists and professors directly in contact with Epstein and pushing his agendas, the same agendas of this cabal, this network, whatever they are. But now they release these little bullshit UAP files saying it's going to be some big revelation, but we've seen all the videos like this already. This grainy shit with these little white dots. Dude, I have a video of that on my phone from when I did a CE5 last year. All right? Like, it's not anything new. But they're not releasing the full story about the egg-shaped craft that there's a very good clear video of, and one of the guys in the military that was on the team there talking about it on Ross Coulthart's News Nation. Is a great video of that. It only spans a few seconds, but they're feeding us and trickling us this bullshit. And all these they're all massive stories, right? The Iran war and the lies behind it. We are not controlling the Strait of Hormuz, all right? Iran's coastline covers over 50% of the Strait of Hormuz. They have a full military and army there. Our ships aren't getting closer than 500 miles to it. They've already started shooting down drones and disabling so many ships that weren't even ready to begin with to be out there. We're not winning this in Iran. We're going to have to pull out. And, like, if you're really following legacy media and Trump's words on this, like, what more do you need? What more do you need? How many witnesses need to come out, old paperwork, of all this shit that he's been done, all the evil shit he's been doing? And, you know, of course it didn't come out during his first administration when he pops everybody. And the whole Epstein web, the saga starts in 2019. Come on. And, like, towards the end of his first, of Trump's first presidency, like, what did you think was going to happen? Yeah, he released everything, then he starts calling it a Democratic hoax as soon as the stuff starts getting pushed towards him. But I mean, Bush Sr., Clinton, Bush Jr., Obama, Trump, Biden, now Trump again. There's seven administrations have been covering this shit up. 7 at least that we know of. And this network started way back during Prohibition. This isn't Epstein's network per se. He was adopted into it. All this shit going on, right? Iran war and the lies about that, you know, so much of the world's fertilizer comes from that area, and there's a direct connection, and I said this in 2014 or 2015, there's a huge direct connection with the war in Russia and everything like that. As soon as I found out that Victoria Nuland and some of the other Zionists had overthrown the Ukrainian government, put Zelensky's predecessor in power, and then Zelensky right after that, like, I said, this is going to lead to war with Russia. That was 11 to 12 years ago, and I said, somehow, China and Iran are going to be pulled into this, and this is their path to this, another global war, and they're doing all these things to prepare us for having a global governance system based off of AI tracking and controlling every move that we make, right? It's all leading to that. 9/11, if you can't see now what happened after 9/11, I mean, what more can I tell you? What more can anybody tell you if you're not willing to go and actually look at any of this information? If you think that you're just going to be okay if you shut the fuck up, keep your head down, and just keep going to work like a slave every week, right? I understand, like, people need to pay their bills. It has to happen, but we have to figure out something better than this, right? Things are not getting better. They're getting worse. And the media's just floating it by. The legacy media that's controlled by our government and intelligence systems and these mega corporations, they're going to say whatever they need to say to push their agenda. You do not get real news or real information. All the big stories, all the big breaks, all the big scandals, those have all been covered in the last 20 years by alternative media, days, weeks, months, years before anything has ever been said on the legacy media. And then, like, oh, it's not a conspiracy theory. The conspiracy theorists are right. It's not. No fucking theory about it. It's a conspiracy. There's no theory about this shit. There's no theory. 9/11 had a lot of dirty shit. There were a lot of people inside that were involved in it. Same with the vaccines, the mRNA vaccines and COVID. Now they're trying to push more. They're making vaccines for virus X. They don't even know what virus is going to break out, and they're making vaccines for it, as if that makes any sense. This is crazy. I don't know what to say. I mean, all these are massive stories that point out our systemic corruption. And it affects everybody's lives. Just the gas pump in the grocery store. And still, people aren't doing anything. And when you really look at the full picture, it comes down to this. We, as a species across the globe, we are permitting non-elected bureaucrats to keep reality and the nature of reality itself inside of a system of classification. Inside of a system of classification, the same system that creates this two-tier justice system. You know, why is Leon Black a free man? Why is Jamie Dimon still running around? The royal family, they are directly connected to this in every way. It's not just Prince Andrew. King Charles is still connected to this too, and they're connected big time through the Savile network. And all the shit that happened with Jimmy Savile that came out, and still, how do you let a monster like Charles be a king, be in control of an entire nation like Great Britain? Y'all guys are fucking idiots in Great Britain for allowing this to happen. I'm sorry. Just like the Americans, Canadians, most Europeans, a lot of Israelis, most Israelis, like, you're fucking idiots. Where's your guts? Where's your grit? The world is falling apart. You're acting like nothing's happening. And then as soon as the grocery stores are empty, within this next year, like, panic is going to hit. Everybody's going to be freaking out. And all you had to do was start talking to one another and prepare your community. And y'all would have survived this. How many are going to die because of this, right? How much chaos is going to break out? What false flag is going to come to really push us into this direction? Because war with Russia and China seems like it's going to be like the only option out. That or some other major false flag, like the... Well, people have been, like, real people inside of MUFON and the Disclosure Network, these people that have been covering all the stuff about interdimensional extraterrestrial beings and UAPs. These people, like, been doing it 40, 50 years, right? Our government goes to them. Governments go to these people for briefs. You know, they have the best evidence that's publicly available because the government won't allow anything out. But everything is so contradictory. The government's only allowing stuff out that deepens the mystery or that puts us into a state of fear, which allows them to put in more control, right? And it's so wild that all of it's connected. I mean, even the digital currency systems, CBDCs, it's the same people. It's the same people. The same people that are pushing AI. Like, I'm nothing against AI. The people controlling it, no, they do not need to be in that position of power. They're going to use it to try to make themselves like gods and rule over us like ants. All right? They don't care about the good of humanity. They care about themselves, what they can control, what they can get. You know, and they keep us trapped in this this Khazarian black magic fucking financial system, whatever it is. Everybody's struggling and fighting over money, and they're tricked into this financial system, and then by the time that they have all their responsibilities taken care of, just fighting to get the money they need, they're too exhausted and too tired to go do anything. And the ones that can do stuff, most of them are so apathetic, they just don't care. It's like, whatever, it's not gonna affect me that much. I'm just gonna keep drinking watching my sports and going to bed. Like, these people don't have to face a justice system like we have to face. Like, when we get a speeding ticket or something like that, that can ruin an entire month for us. For instance, like a $300-$400 speeding ticket, that can set us back huge nowadays. Most people don't even have $500 saved, right? So it's just, what are we doing? We're coming at the precipice of everything. All the governments, intelligence agencies, and militaries are pushing towards very specific narratives that have to do with national security and getting into more war, and that's revolving around the UAP stuff, and the ancient histories. We just had a top admiral from the Navy that was one of the head oceanographers. He was the head oceanographer, probably the lead expert in the world about all this stuff. They said that they just found Atlantis. And they're putting on a mission to go and to put their stuff under seas and go start collecting data and mapping it out. You have the emails from the Epstein list about Gilgamesh, how they found the tomb of Gilgamesh in Iraq, and other like secret ancient archaeological technologies and finds. Well, there's a pattern there with Iran too. Apparently, there's supposed to be some ancient stargates and shit in Iraq. What's the first thing our military did when we went in there? We took over the archaeological sites. Before we put soldiers in the oil fields and everything, we took over the archaeological sites. Why? Then we find the tomb of Gilgamesh. Then, apparently, there was some huge thing under Saddam Hussein's house. They thought it was maybe like a Stargate or something. They're talking about the same kind of shit in Iran. And then the fucking giants that they found, like the Kandahar giants in Afghanistan, that whole region. There is... And these things are all over the world too, but they're all controlled and protected, or they're all controlled and preventing the public from getting any information about these sites by military and black budget corporate militarized units, private security units. Right? Too much information about giants. Historically, I mean, every holy book goes back to them. Every society on the planet has a history of them. There's certain museums, like the one in Peru, that has the skeletons on feature, but it's really rare to find out. There's a big history of, like, the Smithsonian and the government intelligence working together and covering this shit up. We have the new Boogosphere and all that technology coming out. All that, like, things are coming to a close. You have all government, intelligence, military, scientific, and educational institutions, like, guiding, like making a path of information towards the connections between our ancient past, right? Everything biblical from the Quran, the Talmud, all that stuff, all the Abrahamic religions, all the Hindu religions, all the Native American religions from Argentina to the tip of Canada. Like, they're all talking about this stuff: giants, UAPs, portals, different cosmological histories, and all of these astronomical things have been happening too, that are fulfilling these prophecies. And then the psychopaths in government, like Trump, thinking he's Jesus, bringing about the second coming of Christ, like, they're all pushing towards some major event, some major narrative, and they're using our current information that we've got through our education system, science, government, military intelligence, combine, and they're bringing it together with the facts of the Bible and of these ancient histories from all over the world. And it's like, this is such a huge historical moment in time, and there's so many angles that you have to look at, but try to go above that. Try to rise above it, and like your floating in space and looking at the earth instead of sitting down and looking at the floor of your house, right? You have to widen your perspective and see that there are a lot of serious things going on, whether you understand them or not. No one understands everything because all this shit's been hidden for hundreds of years, you know? A lot of it's been hidden for hundreds of years. You know, you can just follow the historical records of science going back about free energy and medical technologies and things like that, propulsion systems. Like, it's not just the technology, it's not just the new medicines, and it's not just that they're hiding. They're hiding the nature of our reality, right? They've been hiding these ancient biblical texts that explain like verbatim the structure of the reality we live in, what to do when we die or when we decide to leave this plane of reality, how there's a system of being recycled back into this planet, so they can feed on what they call loosh or whatever. And they talk about ways of stopping these beings from containing your soul and feeding off it in an endless cycle, right? They describe this in these biblical texts that have been hidden for thousands of years because of the Council of Nicaea. Oh no, another group of huge oligarchs that control most of the wealth and land and power across the world don't want people knowing information that can set them free on a spiritual and mental level, because that takes away all the power of the system that's been happening for thousands of years. You know, there's just if people want to call you conspiracy theorist or whatever as an insult, wear that shit like a badge. Wear it like a fucking badge and proudly, because just know, if you're actually looking into this stuff and putting your effort towards it, you're doing 10 times more than some shit-talking asshole that can't tell his elbow from his toe. You know, that's never really put in even 10 minutes of serious research. They just form an opinion, believe whatever side of the media is telling something that connects with them, and they're just throwing everything else away, like everything's going to be okay. Well, I don't know what to do. I don't know what to do for that. But keep the shit in mind. Keep these perspectives in mind, right? We have all this stuff gets connected through these central webs, and these central webs they're all connected, right? And I said this in the past. I mean, we can go back all the way to Iran Contra, the huge Ponzi schemes like the Promise software scandal, which isn't that, but you have like the Tower Financial, the other two huge Ponzi schemes Epstein was in. Iran Contra, all the Ponzi schemes, 9/11, Epstein, Jimmy Savile, the Franklin scandal, the pandemic lies with the COVID and the mRNA vaccines. Like, all this shit is interconnected in the same web of people. The same web of people. Right? Look into the Epstein files. Know who these people, the Bronfmans, Leon Black, Les Wexner, fucking the Mega Group, the New York Federal Reserve, Barclays, JP Morgan Chase, Jamie Dimon, Deutsche Bank. I mean, look at everything that's happened around this. It's because the donor class, the elitists, they are all involved in one of these schemes or more. They're all getting rich off it, and they look at us like pests that need to be destroyed. While at the same time, like, oh, we don't mind, the parents who maybe they die from some accident, we don't mind taking your orphaned kids and 13, 11, 8-year-old kid and selling to some Satanist that's going to torture, rape them, and drain them of their blood for their adrenochrome afterwards. Like, it's the same people like under Robert Maxwell. Like, it's his company that does that. I think it's like 60, or it's either 40 or 60% of all the fucking school photos are through his company. Yes, the Epstein sex network has the majority share of all the school pictures being taken. I wonder what they're doing with that. I wonder what kind of catalogs they're creating with all that shit, and have been creating for the last 40 goddamn years. Like, what else is it going to take for people to wake up? I mean, seeing all this stuff and just ignoring it and saying it's not going to affect me, and living your daily life, and seeing that none of this really excites you to the point where you're even going to go look at it, like, that should be a revelation in itself to you. How? Like, a war and lies that might lead us into a global war. It's already leading us into catastrophe. Oh, let's just ignore it, even though my gas bill just fucking doubled. My groceries are about to double. And the grocery stores are about to run out of food. We're not going to be able to plant shit. Because the fertilizer, the vast majority that comes out of the area of the Middle East through the Strait of Hormuz, and that came out of the Ukraine-Russia area, there's that connection between those wars, they're going to fuck up the global food supply. And the ability to grow it. While at the same time, they're giving Monsanto the right to go and spray our national fucking forest with this glyphosate Roundup shit that they've paid billions and billions of dollars through court, because it's been proven that it's causing all kinds of detrimental things, especially cancer. And they're still allowed to do it. Trump still, and RFK Jr., they're still, like, they're compromised. Why else would they do this? They are compromised, they're owned, they're controlled. Anyways, it should be a revelation in and of itself that you see the Iran war. You see all this stuff about UFOs and different kinds of beings that aren't either from this planet or even from this dimension. And they're trickling out the bullshit about that, not giving us any of the real information. Like, the connections to our ancient past, to all of our holy texts across all the Abrahamic religions, all Native American traditions of the past, the Hindu traditions, the Buddhist traditions, they all talk about this shit, right? These huge corporations like Monsanto, Bayer getting away with the shit they're having, all the power and the contracts giving to companies like Google and Google, Palantir, OpenAI, all the social media giants, like these psychopaths, proven psychopaths, a lot of them with Epstein connections, and connections to other horrible shit. All right. Epstein, UFOs, UAPs, Iran lies, corporations on the two-tier justice system. Again, massive stories that point out our systematic corruption. And it shows us permitting non-elected bureaucrats to live in a two-tier justice system where they're completely protected from anything they do, including stealing, raping, and murdering your children, right? And they have control of a classification system that explains the actual scientific reality that we live in. Why? Why do these people have control over that information? Why is everybody else that's coming out with new information, especially with scientific breakthroughs, they're all being disappeared and murdered off? If that shit doesn't make you think, if that doesn't make you get up and take some kind of action with all the other shit going on in the world, the problem is you. The problem is you. This apathetic, drugged out, docile bullshit that's coming. Yeah, we'll take the vaccine, we'll drink our fluoridated water, another huge thing. America's still like, oh, that is good for the teeth, you fucking idiot. We'll eat our poison food. We'll allow poison to be sprayed on us. We'll allow weather manipulation technology to go and fuck shit up all around the world. Like UFOs, 9/11, Iran-Contra, Epstein, all these wars that look like huge blood ritual sacrifices. Like, if you can't see the problem here, or you just ignore it, you are the problem. You are the problem. And you don't want to take action now and do shit to protect you and your family. Don't be mad at anybody else when you start to starve with the shit that's coming. Right? No one can do everything, but everyone can do something. Get your community together. At least open up discussions about how serious, the seriousness and the nature of these topics. And don't let your fucking pastor come out being guided by the goddamn government and intelligence agencies to tell you what to think and how to think about whatever these things are that are coming here and have been here for thousands of years. Don't let them form your opinion, form your own, because they're going to try to bottleneck everybody into a system of fear to gain control over us in some kind of way. And there probably is going to be some kind of false flag of some kind to get us into some kind of global war, or even a planetary war with whatever these things are, or to fake it. Something is happening. You know who all the monsters are if you take an hour of your time and just go look at the names. Then you can see all their connections to all these major companies that cover every single part of our economy and our global system. It's all there. All you have to do is look. And if this shit gets to a point where you're in danger of the chaos that breaks out because of what is coming, because of the lack of food and energy, you're not going to be able to travel, the internet might go down at some point. Who knows? That happens. There's something big going on, right? All this stuff happening, if you can't find it in yourself to get up and at least have a discussion with your neighbors and the people around you in your community, this is on you. This is on you. So if you don't have the guts to stand up and do something in order to prevent you and your kids from starving to death in the next year and a half, or just completely being taken over by a huge technocratic fascist system that controls every fucking second of your life, that they want to connect you to AI and take your goddamn soul away through brain chip implants and shit like that, like, okay, that's on you. That's on you. Go continue to be a slave. Go turn yourself into some cyborg to be a cog in this machine for these psychopathic donor class politicians and billionaires. That's on you. If you don't have the balls to stand up and at least talk about it, then, I hope your suffering isn't that bad. I hope you don't starve to death. I hope you don't get killed in the street during some chaos that's going to break out because of lack of resources being pushed around and the shit policies and control systems of the governments and intelligence systems. That's on you. If you don't even have the guts to sit down and look at it and start thinking about these things, you're going to be the one that's the victim.